I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart and the Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press. Today I'm wearing my doll sheep shirt because we're going to be talking about a little mountaineering. Yes, this is a painting I did. If some of you have been following my channel, you know that I used to do a lot of illustrations for Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and I used to do a lot of wildlife artwork for some galleries out here out west. This is one of the paintings I did of a doll sheep, an Alaskan doll sheep on the mountains. And if I remember at the end of this video, I will actually pick up my camera and take you over and show you the original painting on the wall. Hopefully I don't forget, so stay tuned. Stay tuned. You know that I make a lot of promises on these videos and I rarely deliver. I mean, that's just how professional we are doing things here at Durfee Productions, you know. So let's hope that I remember to show you the original painting of my t-shirt. Hey, how narcissistic is it to do a painting and then have your own painting put on a t-shirt and then wear it in a video? I think that's narcissism dialed up pretty high. But let's talk about Jon Krakauer's Into Thin Air, because that's what we're here to talk about right now. Jon Krakauer, I met the dude. And you know, when I meet authors, I always get my book signed. And if I have signed books, you know that I show them off. I show them off. There we go. He signed that bad boy for me. Why did I read this in the beginning? You know, I saw Jon Krakauer on the David Letterman show back in the day, and he was talking about his adventure on Mt Everest, and I was like, oh, I really enjoyed that spot on Dave Letterman with Jon Krakauer talking about that. So I went and bought the book. Sat on my porch about 9 o'clock one evening, thinking I'll read a few chapters of this before I go to bed. 4 in the morning, I'm still on my front porch, reading this book. I could not look away. I was just riveted to my seat, thinking, this is an adventure novel. I mean, I know it's a true story of his trip up Mount Everest, and it gets harrowing. This is the story of the ill-fated 1996 Mt Everest Disaster, which killed 8 people and left a handful of others with severe injuries, severe frostbite injuries. And Jon Krakauer was on that expedition. And he tells the details of that expedition, and I thought I was going to read just a couple chapters and go to sleep. I read the entire book in one sitting in the middle of the night, just not even realizing that the time was going by, and I wasn't even feeling tired. My heart was pounding in my chest as I read this book, because I am telling you, I don't know what would possess any reasonable, rational person to climb Mount Everest. What in the hell are people thinking? And it's not just that, it's thousands of people. It is like a tourist destination for rich people that think that they don't know their limitations, and they get up onto this Mount Everest and they die. And that's what Jon Krakauer was doing there. He was going to do a story for the magazine he worked for on this over-commercialization of Mount Everest. And they're like, well, what writer do we have in our stable that has got a little mountaineering experience? And they're like, well, Jon Krakauer has climbed like Mount McKinley. It's Mount Denali now, but or Denali Mountain, or just Denali, whatever you want to call it. He's climbed a few things. Let's send Jon Krakauer out there. Let's see if he'll go up to the base camp and kind of look around and just give us a report about, give us a story about the commercialization of this Mount Everest, because too many people are climbing it and too many people are dying. Well, Jon Krakauer was like, well, hell, if you're going to send me there, I'm not just going to sit at the base camp. I'm going to climb the damn thing. So he did, and he wrote about it, and it went south and sideways. His expedition, the one he went on, was the worst in history. I mean, it was just deadly, and he wrote all about it, and oh my gosh. Oh, I was just like reading this going, what? How can they, oh Why would you do that? And then I was like, well, maybe I should do it. Maybe I could climb that mountain too. Maybe I would do better than these bozos that are dying left and right. Maybe I bet I could do it. Then I'm starting to get delusions of grandeur. I'm like, I'm gonna climb Mount Everest. I'm gonna do it. I ain't gonna die. I ain't gonna get my fingers frostbitten right off, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Might not come back with any feet because I'll be frostbitten, but I'll do it. It was like, it's either catch leprosy and lose your feet or go up into just go to Mount Everest and just fucking, let them freeze off. I'm reading this book going, it can't get any worse. Oh, it's getting worse. It can't get worse for these people. It's getting worse. And let's just talk about Mount Everest. My God. It's the highest place in the world. If you don't know that little fact, it's like 30,000 feet up. Do you know when you fly in a plane, there's cruising altitude about that, right? Cruising altitude. Now, I've been up on my Mount Eiger in the Swiss Alps, and that's about 17,000 feet. So you're up there, but I wasn't at the top, and I didn't climb shit. There's a train that takes you in Switzerland, Lauterbrunnen. You catch the train in Lauterbrunnen in Switzerland, and it's called the train to the top of the world, and it's the highest train in the world. And it takes you from Lauterbrunnen, Switzerland, up through the nice Swiss Alps, a lovely little trip. And then it takes you into Mount Eiger. And then once you're inside Mount Eiger, it tunnels in a spiral up through Mount Eiger, up to the top. And it stops along the way and lets you out. And you can walk down a tunnel and you can to a big glass window. And you can look down the cliff, the sheer 2,000-foot cliff drop of Mount Eiger. And you can stand there at the window and be like, oh, that's 2,000 feet. And oh my gosh. Yeah, it's badass. But you ain't climbing it. I ain't out on the other side of that window with a pickaxe and a rope. I'm dressed like Durfee in a nice little comfortable heated tunnel with a big huge glass window. And I can see and then you get back on that train and it spirals even farther up the mountain and it spits you out onto a ledge. And you can go out and you can just be like, oh my gosh, I'm on Mount Eiger. I'm a badass. I've just conquered Mount Eiger. And then you get back in your train and you spiral back down and you have you get a little sandwich and some schnitzel and you're done. It's a wonderful, delightful trip. Going up to Mount Everest is not anything like that because Eiger's 17,000 feet, Mount Everest 30,000 feet. Like I was saying, when your plane is up, when you're flying anywhere, they're cruising at about 7 or 30,000 feet. So when you're in a plane, just look out the window and be like, this is what it would be like to be on Mount Everest. It's cold. There's no air to breathe. Your fingers and toes, it's like they've got leprosy from the frostbite and they're just dropping off your body. You can't breathe. You're hiking up a mountain and it's steep and there's cliffs and there's snow and there's dead people because people that die on Mount Everest, there's no like coroner that comes and takes the body away. They just leave it on a trail. Just leave it. And so you're climbing up and there's another dead dude, Oh, there's another frozen dead guy from 1976. Oh, that dude froze. He froze in like 1993. Oh yeah. And those 5 down there amongst that you can see scattered at the bottom of the fucking cliff face. Oh yeah, those guys fell back in the, 1965. And they're just all there. They're just littered. It's like littered with corpses. It's a trail. Oh, that's why you got to read this. That's why you got to read this, because he describes all of this just nonsense. And it's complete bonkers nonsense, this Mount Everest expedition thing. And then you've got this base camp where everybody goes to the base camp, and they have to live at the base camp for like 36 months. No, that's not right. That's like 3 years. No, it's like 3 months. They live at 90 days or something. They live at the base camp so their lungs can get acclimated to the limited amount of oxygen that they're breathing. And the base camp is just, he describes it as just a horror show of just junk and garbage because nobody cleans up. Like I said, they don't even clean up dead bodies. They just throw out there. Just whatever. It's just a junk pile. It's like a big, huge, massive landfill of crap everywhere. And then these people, these rich people that have paid to have these mountaineers guides take them up. It's a competition, right? Like there's very, very little time for the sun comes up, and most every day, Mount Everest is up in the clouds, and there's just fucking hurricane storminess all the time. And so once in a while, the weather clears, and there's a free day that they can all race up to the top and then race back down before the storm comes in, right? So they're all waiting, and then you've got like hundreds of people just waiting for the day, and nobody's climbing the mountain because it's too dangerous, and then the sunny day shows up, and everybody's like, goes, like all 100 of them, just 100, 200, 300, 400, just head up a steep, like a trail, and there's cliffs everywhere on every side, and snow and avalanches, and below, like 50 below weather, and just wind howling by, and some people are hauling oxygen tanks, some people, and it's a long climb. There's still a long way to go from base camp to the top. Still, most people just don't make it. And now you're in a line of people like it's a traffic jam up there. And well, Jon Krakauer's, his group has got there, and the guides are rivals. The guides, all the guiding groups, they're rivals with each other. So there's all these different like factions of people that just don't like each other. He describes all this. And so it's just like a nightmare scenario for everybody to just perish. And yet people just do it every year. And then there's the Sherpas that carry things because, and the Sherpas, they go up, they don't even care. They'll go up and back 5 times a day because they know, they just do it. They're just awesome at doing it, right? But this group of people that, Jon Krakauer went in 1996, 8 of them died on this trek. And it's an adventure. It reads like an adventure novel. And you're just like, I'm not going to tell you any more other than a bunch of them go back and not all of them, a bunch of them go to the top and not all of them come back. And I'm telling you, you will just be like riveted to your seat. You're just like reading this going, what in hell has possessed these people? Because clearly over half of them are not in any condition to be climbing Mount Everest. Myself, I get winded going up my staircase. I get winded going up my stairs. I'm not going to do it. I would definitely fall and twist an ankle. 10 feet out of camp. Done. Durfee, over. Trip over. Done. And if I make it to 10 feet, at least 50 feet down, I would, I'd be like, I wouldn't be breathing. I'd just be like, I can't do it. Can't do it. Look at me, I'm out of shape. Can't do it. But these people did. And these people were just in every bit of worse a shape as I was. And they just fucking went. And they're dead. And they're laying up there to this day. 8 of them. Just still up there. And Jon Krakauer does a good job of letting us get to know everybody in his group, so I won't spoil for you which ones live and which ones die. Clearly, Jon Krakauer lived to write the tale. And not only that, but it was a great, not just, what an unfortunate thing, what a traumatizing thing for this guy to go through, right? Just trauma, PTSD trauma, seeing his friends like that die. He wrote a book, but it was such a huge hit that he also ended up writing a lot of my other favorite nonfiction books, like Under the Banner of Heaven, about some murders that took place in Utah. And I know the murderers. I work at the Utah State Prison. I know the guys that committed these murders. Missoula, about the rape case of the football team that raped all the girls that nobody ever investigated in Missoula, Montana. Into the Wild, about the kid up in Alaska that just decided to go off and he just didn't know how to handle things in Alaska and died. I've lived up in Alaska, and you just don't wander off into the Alaskan wilderness. It ain't like taking a hike through the Appalachians. It ain't. It really ain't. You don't want to just go wandering around in Alaska. You'll die within a day. And then we've got, the Pat Tillman story about the NFL player who quit his job as a famous NFL player to join the Army Rangers, went to Afghanistan and was killed in the war. He's written some great books, but Into Thin Air was the first one, and it really started his career. Unfortunate circumstances to start your career, but it is what it is. Now, I give this book, if I haven't jazzed you up enough about reading it, then my power to jazz people has disappeared. Into Thin Air, yeah. Let's take a moment. I give this 10 out of 10. Let's take a moment now, since we're on the subject of mountaineering, and I've already talked to you about my shirt and the painting that I did. Let's take a moment and look at the original painting. So let's walk across my little studio here. And that right there, folks, is the original painting. I don't know if you can see it. There's another painting I did over there that I did for Dungeons and Dragons. Behind me is a painting of Boba Fett I did for Lucasfilm. Anyway, guys, you need to go out and get Into Thin Air because it is a spectacular book.